Alright guys, so Valby's back in a big way with Season 3. A couple seasons ago they removed her toe effect, and that really kind of changed the way we use Valby and what she's useful for. With Season 3 they've completely reversed that with the new trigger mods. Now I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this intro because I do have two different builds I want to showcase. One is more of a high damage, high skill build, and the other one is very user friendly and completely ignores the terrain. But having said all that guys, let's go ahead and hop into the video. So we're going to go ahead and look at the first build, which is what I would consider the high skill build. So the first weapon we're going to look at is the Blue Beetle, and this is purely a stat stick. I do not really recommend that you put any build on this because you're not going to be doing anything with it. The main thing I would look at is trying to put two 20% sprint speed cores on here, and that's just to make sure that Valby can get around the battlefield quickly. If you are going to slap mods on it, these are some of the mods that I would recommend. You don't need to put all of them on there, but these are some quality of life mods that will make your number 4 perform a little bit better if you decide to use it. For our second weapon, we are going to go ahead and use the Last Dagger. I do always like to have a Last Dagger on me for burnouts. I still think this weapon is great into Season 3, and I would recommend you carry it over from Season 2. So for the cores on this weapon, go ahead and put some chill attack on it, 2 firearm attack, 1 fire rate, and 1 rounds per mag. For the roll down bottom, prioritize critical hit rate, critical hit damage, firearm attack, and chill attack. While chill attack is something that we primarily used in Void 10, it does have some utility in the planes. If you get lucky, this will freeze enemies in place, and that can help you out if you get in a sticky situation. So for the roll on the gun, this is what we're going to be looking at. We're really going to build into the weapon's base damage. Outside of that, we're going to ratchet up the critical hit rate and critical hit damage. We're going to crank that fire rate up. We're going to slap a little bit of weak point on it, and we're going to double down on that chill damage. For the reactor on this build, I would go ahead and go with the fusion reactor. You are going to want to have your optimized condition here. When it comes to the rolls down bottom, I would go with skill cooldown and critical hit damage, not critical hit rate. The reason I have critical hit rate on here is because this was on a test build, and because of that we didn't have access to all of the components we typically have, and I didn't feel like spending a week trying to get the right roll down here. But even with the roll right now, this build absolutely shreds. So just make sure you have skill cooldown and critical hit damage for this build. For the component set, I would go ahead and go with the Enlightened Mage set here, and I would go with HP and defense on the cores on this. I really like the Enlightened Mage set here because you do get just an insane amount of non-at skill power, and that is something that's really hard to get anywhere else, at least to this amount. For the inversion reinforcement, this is what I like to go with on this build. I would go ahead and use focus boost, firearm control mechanism, and selective neurostimulation. This is going to give you a nice amount of skill cost reduction, a little bit of firearm damage increase, and it's going to give you a little bit of MP back, which is going to help because you're going to be spamming your skills quite a bit with this build. So for your arcade tuning, this is a tree I would go with. We do get some skill power here, we get a bunch of skill cooldown, we do get non-at cohesion up in the upper right, and then we do increase our critical hit damage. This is a great tree for this build. Also, before you ask, the arcade tuning on here has an insane amount available that is just for the developer build. We, as far as I know, are not going to be getting it at that level. For the fellow, it absolutely doesn't matter what fellow you use here. I would go ahead and just pick up the Hagio Sheepdog just for a little bit of survivability, because things out in the Axiom Plains do hit quite hard and you will be getting swarmed, so having that little bit of extra HP is always nice. When it comes to the mods, this is what we're going to be looking at. This is basically the exact same build I just put out a few weeks ago. We didn't change too much here. The build really functions well and makes Valby do a lot of critical hit damage. This is a very well balanced build, and this is what I would suggest you put on. It's going to give you a ton of everything and a ton of quality life. Where things change is in the upper left. We're going to go ahead and put Power Beyond on. Once we use 3 skills, our third skill is going to create an anamorphous phenomenon under the enemy's feet. This is basically going to create a toe effect. It's going to suck all enemies into it, and it's going to suspend them in the air for several seconds. This mod is absolutely huge in what it does to Valby's kit, and you'll see it in some of the B-reel here in a minute. Alright guys, so for the second version of this build, the one that is more user friendly, we are going to make a couple changes, and the first change is going to be Valby's weapon. For this we like to use the Peacemaker, so go ahead and slap that on. Again, this is just a stat stick, so don't worry too much about what's on it. For the cores on here for Valby, I would just go ahead and put triple sprint speed on it. As you can see, this one has sprint speed and some grappling. This is one that I was using on Bunny, but go ahead and put triple sprint speed on here, and it's going to make your Valby feel really, really good. For this weapon, again, it's just a stat stick, so I wouldn't worry too much about what mods you put on it, but you can treat it the same way we did with the Blue Beetle and put on very similar mods just for some quality of life. So for the reactor, again, go with the fusion reactor, make sure that you have the optimized condition, and then for the roll down bottom, go with skill cooldown and skill cost reduction. For the arcade tuning, we don't actually change very much up. We just remove that skill critical hit damage and just add a couple more little quality of life things here. We're going to give ourselves a little bit more HP, and we're going to give ourselves just a little bit of skill power. So for the mods, we do change things up just a little bit. We put a lot of raw damage into this build, and we're cranking our range out. Make sure we don't have MP issues. We are going to slap on MP collector, and then we also get dangerous ambush. Again, we are going to use power beyond on this. I'm not going to go back over what that mod does. Alright guys, now I'm going to explain how to play both of the builds because they both play the exact same way. The main thing we're going to do here is try to spam R1 as much as possible. R1 is going to gather all the enemies up and let us do an insane amount of damage to them. So the big thing to do here is just move around the battlefield and spam your 1 whenever you can. If you need to go a large distance, feel free to use your 2 to bridge that gap. Doing that is going to create water where you're standing, which is going to help you with damage. After that, pick a pack of enemies and just start spamming your 1 again. Just continue to do this as you work through the map. As you can see, both builds do effectively the same thing. The critical hit build is just a little bit harder to control because the bounces go everywhere. When it comes to the final bosses, go ahead and pull out your 4 and just soak them in water. After doing that, just start spamming your 1 at them again and keep doing as much damage as possible. Cycle them through phases and just rinse and repeat. Alright guys, and that's it. That's everything you need to know about this new Season 3 Valby build. Hopefully you guys have a lot of fun with it. One of the big changes with Axiom Plains is just the amount of enemies and the mob density, and that can be kind of overwhelming. But with the changes to Valby, you can easily deal with that and turn all of the content into just a stand around and wait simulator. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, consider liking and subscribing for more First Descendant content as well as other game coverage in the future. And if you want to get to know me and the community a little bit better, feel free to check us out live. We stream live here on YouTube and over on Twitch, and we would love to have you there and love to get to know you a little bit better. But having said all that, guys, thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.